I never thought a simple bet could change my life, but as I sit here staring at the glossy black pantyhose in my hands, the reality sinks in. Just a week ago, I was Ryan, average height, average build, a guy who never paid much attention to what he wore beyond jeans and t-shirts. My life was predictable, safe, and boringly ordinary. Emma, my girlfriend, however, had always been more adventurous. She loved experimenting with fashion, makeup, and the playful side of life that I usually avoided. It all started on a Friday evening. We were lounging in our small apartment, the scent of takeout in the air, and our favorite sitcom flickering on the TV. Emma, sprawled elegantly on the couch in her chic dress, smirked at me over her glass of wine. "I dare you," she said, her tone playful but with a spark of mischief that made my stomach twist. I raised an eyebrow. "Dare me? What now?" She leaned closer, her eyes gleaming. "I dare you to wear pantyhose for a whole week. Not just around the house, everywhere. Work, shopping, even dinner out." I laughed nervously, thinking she was joking. "You're kidding, right?" Emma shook her head, her grin widening. "Not at all. If you can do it, I'll cook your favorite meal for a month. If you chicken out well, you'll owe me big time." I hesitated, trying to gauge whether she was serious. She never backed down from a challenge, and she certainly wouldn't let me escape without a fight. Somehow, in that moment, the combination of curiosity and a stubborn streak in me agreed. I accepted the dare, and just like that, my life took a turn I never anticipated. The first pair of pantyhose felt foreign in my hands. Black, silky, and impossibly thin, they seemed innocuous enough, but my heart raced at the thought of actually wearing them. Emma's smirk as she watched me fumble with them didn't help. "It's just a dare, Ryan. Embrace it." I shrugged, trying to appear nonchalant, but my fingers betrayed me, trembling as I rolled the pantyhose up my legs. The sensation was strange, cool and tight, hugging my skin in a way that made me acutely aware of every muscle, every movement. I looked down at my legs and felt an unexpected flush of vulnerability. This wasn't just clothing, it was exposure, a window into a side of myself I'd never explored. Emma clapped her hands softly. "See? Not so bad, right?" I mumbled something that sounded like agreement, my face hot with embarrassment and excitement. She laughed, clearly enjoying my discomfort. "You're adorable when you're nervous," she said, reaching out to adjust the waistband slightly, making sure it sat perfectly. Her touch sent another jolt of awareness through me. As the week began, the challenge escalated in ways I hadn't imagined. Pantyhose weren't just a garment, they were a test. Wearing them to work meant navigating tight jeans over them, sitting carefully to avoid obvious creases, and enduring subtle glances from colleagues that made me hyper-aware of my body. Even small errands became exercises in vigilance. Each step, each movement carried weight. I was performing, but the audience was invisible, lurking in every reflection, every casual glance. At home, Emma was merciless in her teasing. She would peek into my bedroom when I changed, commenting on how smooth my legs looked, adjusting the pantyhose when they slipped, or suggesting I try different styles. Black, sheer, patterned, each variation pushed me further out of my comfort zone. The combination of intimacy, control, and exposure was dizzying. I quickly realized that the pantyhose weren't just a dare. They were a mirror. They reflected parts of me I'd never confronted, my insecurities, my curiosity, and a strange, forbidden thrill. I had always considered crossdressing a private thought, something reserved for fleeting fantasies or hidden experiments, but Emma's challenge made it tangible, unavoidable, and public in my own small world. By day 3, my internal struggle intensified. Walking into the office, pantyhose beneath my slacks, I could feel my legs more acutely than ever. Each step was deliberate. Every glance from coworkers, whether noticing the subtle sheen of the fabric or the way I moved, made my pulse quicken. There was shame, yes, but also an undeniable rush. I was living a secret truth, one that no one else could see, yet it made me more aware of myself than ever before. Emma noticed, of course. "You're changing," she said one evening as we sat together, wine glasses in hand. Not just because of the dare. You're different. More aware of yourself.
More you.
Her words unsettled me. Was she right? Was this experience changing me, reshaping how I viewed my body, my identity, my confidence? The idea both thrilled and terrified me. By the end of the first week, the dare had morphed into something more, a psychological exploration, a journey into vulnerability and self-discovery. Pantyhose were no longer just clothing. They were symbols of control, exposure, and transformation. And as the final day of the challenge approached, I realized I was no longer sure where Ryan ended and where this new, cautious, and surprisingly confident persona began. Sitting now on the edge of the bed, fingers brushing the smooth fabric, I knew that the next few days would push me even further. Emma's eyes watched me from across the room, full of expectation and playful authority. I wasn't just completing a dare anymore. I was stepping into a new version of myself, one that had to navigate the line between embarrassment, thrill, and self-discovery. The pantyhose in my hands weren't just a challenge. They were the key to a week that would test every boundary I had, both physically and emotionally. And I had no idea what awaited me when I left the safety of my apartment, when the world saw me through the lens of this daring experiment. The morning after accepting Emma's dare, I woke with a mix of excitement and dread. The pantyhose I had left neatly folded on the chair called to me like a forbidden object, promising both discomfort and discovery. The first step of my day was simple in theory, putting on the hosiery, but it quickly became a ritual of awareness. Sliding the silky fabric over my legs, feeling it stretch and cling, I shivered at the sensation. The touch was intimate, almost electrifying, as if the pantyhose were more than just clothing. They were a second skin, a new identity slowly taking form. Emma watched silently, perched on the edge of the bed, her eyes glittering with amusement and something deeper, expectation, a subtle dominance that sent a thrill through me. "Slow down," she whispered, her voice soft yet commanding. "Feel it. Embrace it." I swallowed, trying to focus on her words rather than the pounding of my heart. Every inch the pantyhose traveled up my legs made me more conscious of myself, of the way the fabric highlighted contours I had never considered before. By the time I reached my thighs, I was trembling slightly, aware of the subtle sensuality this garment invoked. Emma leaned forward, her fingers brushing against mine as she helped adjust the waistband.
"Perfect," she said.
"You're learning fast." Work that day was an exercise in vigilance. The tight slacks I wore over the pantyhose became armor and trap simultaneously. Every stride in the office hallway reminded me of the delicate fabric underneath, a constant whisper of the secret I carried. My colleagues were oblivious, but I imagined their glances, exaggerated and scrutinizing, each one a test of my composure. Sitting at my desk, I crossed my legs carefully, aware of the subtle sheen under my trousers. The pantyhose pressed against my skin, heightening my senses in ways I hadn't anticipated. Lunch brought new challenges. A quick trip to the cafe around the corner became a gauntlet of self-conscious glances. Every reflection in the window, every passing person, became a potential observer of my hidden transformation. I could feel a heat rising to my cheeks, the thrill mingling with a potent embarrassment. This was more than a dare. It was a test of restraint, of courage, and of identity. By evening, back in the apartment, Emma had prepared a surprise. A selection of outfits, each paired meticulously with different pantyhose styles, lay across the bed. Black sheer, patterned, even a pair with a subtle shimmer. "Tonight," she said, "we explore what feels right and what feels thrilling." I stared at the choices, my stomach twisting. Each option carried a different promise: sophistication, vulnerability, allure. Emma's hands hovered over the garments, teasingly brushing my shoulders as she guided me. "Trust me," she whispered. "It's about the experience, the sensation, the transformation." As I dressed, the physical transformation was profound. Pantyhose, short skirt, fitted blouse. Each item reshaped not only my body's appearance, but my perception of myself. In the mirror, I caught a glimpse of Mia, the name I had started to use silently for this persona. She stared back, confident yet fragile, a reflection of the duality within me. My pulse quickened at the sight. I was Ryan and Mia simultaneously, a merging of curiosity, fear, and exhilaration. Emma guided me through the apartment, practicing walking in heels paired with the pantyhose. Each step was deliberate, calculated. I stumbled occasionally, feeling exposed, yet each misstep heightened the thrill. Emma laughed softly, her amusement gentle but teasing. "You're doing wonderfully," she said. "But remember, the secret is part of the excitement." The night deepened, and with it, my emotional journey. Alone for brief moments, I explored the sensations, the reflections, the whispers of identity that the pantyhose invoked. My mind wrestled with shame and pride, curiosity and fear. Every movement carried weight. I realized that the dare had become more than a challenge. It was a window into desires I had never confronted, a test of self-expression and control. By midweek, the stakes increased. Work required a presentation, and the office, oblivious to my transformation, became a stage of tension. Walking into the meeting room, pantyhose beneath my slacks, I felt every eye as a spotlight. The subtle sheen beneath my attire, the careful placement of my legs, the poised gestures, all became part of a delicate dance. My colleagues' comments, innocent on the surface, triggered waves of paranoia and exhilaration. Every compliment, every glance, became a pulse-quickening thrill. Emma's constant guidance, her subtle coaching, and her playful dominance reshaped the experience. She watched, corrected, encouraged. Her presence was both a safety net and a reminder of the challenge's intensity. I felt the thrill of exposure, the vulnerability of secrecy, and the growing bond between us. The dare had morphed into a shared journey, one of discovery, control, and unspoken intimacy. By day 6, the physical and emotional toll became evident. My legs ached slightly from the tight fabric, and the constant awareness of being observed, real or imagined, kept my heart racing. Yet the experience had opened doors within me. I noticed nuances in my behavior, the way I carried myself, the confidence that Mia brought into spaces Ryan never dared to enter. The dare had become transformative, a crucible reshaping both my body and psyche. Emma's challenges grew more creative. "Let's try a subtle outing," she suggested. "Coffee, errands, nothing extreme, but with pantyhose visible beneath your skirt. Confidence is key." The outing was terrifying. Each reflection, each passerby, each casual glance was a test of composure. My mind raced constantly, analyzing reactions, imagining judgments, balancing thrill and fear. Returning home, exhausted and exhilarated, I collapsed on the couch. Emma's laughter filled the room, light yet filled with authority. "Tomorrow," she said, "is the final day. Are you ready for the culmination?" I nodded weakly, aware that the experience had changed me. Pantyhose were no longer just clothing. They were symbols of control, exposure, and transformation. I had navigated embarrassment, thrill, vulnerability, and intimacy. I had walked the line between Ryan and Mia, discovering a side of myself I hadn't known existed. As I drifted to sleep that night, the anticipation of the final day was electric. The dare had become more than a challenge. It was a journey into identity, a test of courage, and a seductive exploration of self. I knew the next day would push me further than ever before, and the boundary between Ryan and Mia would blur in ways I couldn't yet comprehend. The final day of the dare dawned with a sense of inevitability. I awoke, my legs still tingling from the tight embrace of the pantyhose I had worn the previous night, a lingering reminder of the week's journey. Today wasn't just any day. It was the culmination of the challenge, the day where Ryan and Mia would fully collide. The air in the apartment felt charged, heavy with anticipation and subtle fear. Emma was already up, moving gracefully around the room, her eyes catching mine with that signature mischievous glint. "Ready?" she asked, a simple word that carried the weight of a command, an expectation, and a test. I nodded, though my stomach nodded. Today, the dare would be public. There would be no hiding in the safety of our apartment. Pantyhose beneath my skirt, heels clicking on the sidewalk, we would step into a world of scrutiny, potential judgment, and exposure. The thrill was intoxicating, but so was the fear. Dressing became a ritual, a meditation in motion. I chose a pair of sheer black pantyhose, a delicate skirt that fell just above the knee, and a fitted blouse that complemented the ensemble. The fabric hugged my legs, smoothing every contour, heightening my awareness. Emma adjusted the waistband, brushed a strand of hair behind my ear, and smiled. "You look perfect," she said, though the sparkle in her eyes suggested there was more to come. Stepping outside, the city felt different through Mia's eyes. The subtle attention of strangers, the casual glances that might have gone unnoticed before, now carried weight. Every step in heels, every shift of my skirt, was a performance, a delicate dance between concealment and revelation. The pantyhose, once a private thrill, had become armor and vulnerability simultaneously. The first challenge arose almost immediately. A familiar coworker, Mark, stepped out of a cafe ahead of us. His gaze lingered just a moment too long on my legs, his expression unreadable. My heart thudded. I forced a casual smile, hoping Emma didn't notice the flush creeping up my neck. She, of course, did. "Breathe," she whispered. "Confidence is everything." I nodded, though the internal battle raged. Shame, excitement, fear, and exhilaration tangled in a storm inside me. Each interaction became a test, every passerby a potential judge of this new identity I was inhabiting. By the time we reached the boutique Emma had promised would be part of the final challenge, I was trembling slightly, but not from cold. Inside, Emma guided me through a series of tasks, selecting outfits, modeling in front of mirrors, interacting with sales clerks, and navigating the scrutiny of other shoppers. Each moment was electric. The pantyhose stretched and clung with every movement, heels heightened every step, and the mirror reflected a persona that was both me and not me. Mia was alive, emerging fully, a combination of vulnerability, confidence, and thrilling uncertainty. Then came the unexpected twist. As we exited the boutique, I nearly collided with my neighbor, Mrs. Hargrove, an elderly woman known for her nosy tendencies and sharp tongue. She paused, scrutinizing me from head to toe. "Ryan?" she asked slowly, tilting her head. "Is that you?" Panic surged. My mind raced. Should I lie? Laugh it off? Run? Emma, ever composed, stepped slightly forward, her hand brushing mine in a subtle display of solidarity. "It's Mia," she said, voice calm and persuasive. "She's trying something new." Mrs. Hargrove squinted, uncertain, then nodded slowly. "Well, all right then," she said, shuffling past. The encounter left me shaking, heart pounding, but also exhilarated. The threat of exposure, the close call, heightened every sensation. The dare was no longer a playful experiment. It was a test of nerve, identity, and trust. By mid-afternoon, the physical strain of the day was evident. My legs ached from the constant pressure of pantyhose and heels. My lower back protested the posture required for the skirts and fitted blouse. Yet, every twinge, every ache, heightened the awareness of this new self. Mia wasn't just a persona. She was an experience, a revelation, a thrilling embodiment of a side of me I had never fully embraced. Emma's subtle guidance continued. She whispered tips on posture, how to move, how to carry myself with elegance and confidence. Each correction, each adjustment, was both comforting and electrifying. Her presence was the anchor that allowed me to navigate this unfamiliar terrain, the constant reminder that I was not alone in this journey. The climax reached its peak when we entered a high-end cafe, where friends of Emma awaited for a casual brunch. The moment was tense. Every glance from the group was a potential exposure, every word a test. I felt the weight of judgment, both real and imagined, pressing on me. Yet, amidst the anxiety, there was a thrill, an intoxicating sense of power in inhabiting this persona so fully, so convincingly. Then came the symbolic moment. As I reached for my coffee cup, the edge of my skirt snagged, causing a subtle slip that revealed more of the pantyhose than intended. Heat rushed to my face. My heart raced. Emma's eyes met mine, her expression a mix of amusement, approval, and subtle warning. In that instant, the line between Ryan and Mia blurred completely. Exposure, vulnerability, and transformation intertwined. I was no longer just performing a dare. I was living an identity, fully present, fully aware, fully transformed. The brunch continued, each interaction a high-stakes performance. Compliments, subtle glances, and moments of laughter intertwined with the constant awareness of my secret. Each sip of coffee, each movement, reinforced the duality of my existence. Ryan and Mia coexisted, each shaping the other, each challenging the boundaries of shame, excitement, and identity. As we left the cafe, the final challenge loomed. Emma had planned one last public test, a stroll through the bustling city streets, where strangers' reactions would be unpredictable, scrutiny unavoidable. The pantyhose clung, heels clicked with deliberate precision, and the skirt swayed with each step. Every glance from passers-by, every whisper, every subtle observation became a pulse-quickening thrill. By the time we returned home, I was exhausted, both physically and emotionally. The week had transformed me. Pantyhose were no longer just a garment. They were symbols of courage, vulnerability, and discovery. Mia was no longer just a persona. She was a part of me, a reflection of desires, fears, and exhilaration I had never fully acknowledged. Emma smiled, her eyes alight with pride and satisfaction. "You did it," she said softly. "You embraced the challenge, the transformation, and yourself. How does it feel?" I paused, considering the answer. "Different," I said finally. "Stronger. Vulnerable. Alive." She laughed, a sound full of warmth and mischief.
Good.
That's the point. As I collapsed on the couch, legs still tingling from the day's journey, I realized the full impact of the dare. It had been more than a week of pantyhose. It had been a week of self-discovery, vulnerability, transformation, and trust. Ryan had changed. Mia had emerged. And the line between them would never be the same. Even as the evening settled into a quiet calm, my mind refused to rest. The week's journey, the thrill, the embarrassment, the exposure, played on repeat in my head. Pantyhose still hugged my legs, a lingering reminder of the dare's intensity, of the persona I had embodied. Mia was no longer a fleeting identity. She was alive within me, a shadow of curiosity, vulnerability, and exhilaration that refused to be ignored. Emma lounged on the couch, her eyes on me with a mix of amusement and satisfaction. "So," she said softly, "how does it feel now that the challenge is complete?" I hesitated, searching for words that could capture the tangled emotions. "Different," I admitted. "Stronger, yet fragile. Exposed, yet exhilarated." The admission hung between us, vulnerable and raw. She smiled, a knowing glint in her eyes. "Good. That's exactly what I wanted you to feel. But there's still one last thing." My heart skipped. One last thing? I had survived the week, the public tests, the near discoveries, the complete transformation. What could be left? Emma stood and walked over to the bedroom, motioning for me to follow. My legs, still tingling from the day's adventures, carried me reluctantly. When I entered, my eyes widened. On the bed lay a new outfit, sleek, daring, and undeniably feminine. Alongside it was a small envelope, sealed and mysterious. "What's this?" I asked, my voice betraying a mix of curiosity and apprehension. Emma's smile widened. "Consider it an extension of the dare. You've faced exposure, public scrutiny, transformation. Now you're going to decide whether you step further or retreat." She handed me the envelope. Inside, a note. "Tonight, you will attend a private gathering. A few select friends will see you as Mia. They don't know it's you. Can you embrace the persona fully? Or will Ryan resurface?" A shiver ran down my spine. The thought of strangers seeing me, truly seeing me, as Mia, without the safety of Emma's immediate protection, was terrifying. Yet a thrill pulsed through me. This was the ultimate test, the moment where vulnerability and courage collided. Emma's eyes softened. "You don't have to do it," she whispered. "But if you choose to, it will change everything for you, for us, for Mia." I glanced in the mirror. Mia stared back, confident yet tentative, a delicate balance of boldness and fear. Every inch of my transformation, the pantyhose, the skirt, the blouse, the heels, spoke of a persona I had begun to trust, to enjoy, to embody. Could I step into this world fully? Could I risk exposure, judgment, and vulnerability for the thrill of living as Mia, even just for one night? The tension mounted as I heard the distant hum of traffic outside, the evening carrying potential eyes, potential whispers. Emma's hand on my shoulder grounded me, but it also reminded me that the next step was mine alone. I took a deep breath, heart hammering. I'll do it, I whispered, the words heavy with anticipation and fear. Emma's smile was radiant, triumphant yet teasing. Good. Now let's see how far Mia can go. As we stepped toward the door, a sudden knock echoed through the apartment. My stomach twisted. Who could it be? Too early, too late, too dangerous? Emma's eyes flicked toward me, then the door. "I didn't expect anyone else," she murmured. My pulse raced. Every sense heightened. The pantyhose clinging to my legs felt like a second skin, a tether to the identity I had built, yet also a reminder of how fragile this secret was. The knock came again, firmer, insistent. I glanced at Emma. She hesitated, then whispered, "Do you want me to answer it, or?" I shook my head, heart pounding. I should. The moment stretched. The handle turned slowly. My reflection in the hallway mirror stared back at me. Mia fully realized, exposed to whoever was outside, every inch a test of courage and composure. The door creaked open. A shadow filled the frame. And then, silence. I froze, unsure whether to step forward or retreat, every nerve electric, every instinct screaming for control and awareness. Emma's hand gripped mine tightly, a lifeline in the storm of suspense. Then, a familiar voice spoke, calm but laced with intrigue. "Well, this is a surprise." My blood ran cold. Recognition, panic, and exhilaration collided. I couldn't tell whether relief or dread should dominate. The frame remained, the voice echoed, and the night held its breath. I was Mia, I was Ryan, I was exposed, and yet the next move was uncertain. One step, one word, one action could unravel everything or propel me further into a world I had never imagined. Emma whispered, almost teasingly, "Are you ready for what comes next?" And in that moment, the answer didn't matter. The suspense hung heavy, unresolved, leaving a shiver of anticipation that promised the story was far from over.